If there's one thing that defines Jonah DeJarnette, it is that he is a pursuer of truth himself. Jonah has been gifted with, spiritually, the gift of knowledge, and he has a deep desire in his guts to seek after what is true, to seek and attain knowledge, and to get wisdom from the Lord so that he can be someone who is able to articulate those things to you. And so as Heather and I were praying over this series, we kept feeling like Jonah was coming to our mind. So we asked him back in January, and he jumped at the opportunity. And so would y'all welcome up the man from behind the desk for the first time on the Forge stage ever, Jonah DeJarnette.
Thank you. Yeah, Janae. Yeah, forget to. It's a little out of my comfort zone, but that's all right. Flip this one. It's me distracting me, guys. How we doing? Jack first. Yeah, so my name, obviously, is Jonah. I'm the Creative and Technical Arts Director here at Cornerstone Church. And yeah, so I graduated from the Forge in 2019 under EJ and Heather's predecessor, Pastor JC, who is now leading a church in New Britain. And I graduated college from the University of Bridgeport in 2022. So that's just like a little bit about me, a little bit about my background. So we're in a series about the pursuit of truth, in which we search for biblical truth about topics that are sometimes kind of seen as like, not like taboo, but it's not like something you hear about on the week to week on a Sunday. And I'm so thankful for this series personally. Looking back, I really wish that some of these topics that somebody had like spoken to me about or really like talked to me, because I know it would have saved me a lot of pain in my high school years. And especially this topic to coming weeks, they would have made big impact on my life. So let me just demonstrate. That's why I'm so passionate about this series. So tonight I get the opportunity to approach a topic that will probably have one of two positions. Either like we really love it and we don't really think about it. It's just part of our day-to-day lives. We just go about it. We don't think about it as much. Or you kind of don't like it, kind of steer away from it, steer clear from it, and just it's something that you just don't use. And so, as opposed to taking a side to that, I'm going to look into the heart of it. I'm going to present some evidence. I'm going to apply some context. Give you some of my findings. And so, of course, today I'm going to be something. I don't know if you saw that. We can go back. We got to actually start. But so initially, when we did the series, when we did the graphics for the series, there was a little bit of a miscommunication between me and EJ because it initially had a different name, and so I made that the first graphic, the one that you've seen all throughout, for that, and then he was like, "Hey, can we change it?" I was like, "Yeah, we can change it." And so I thought he was making a graphic along with it, so I did. And so he's like, well, I can do it. So we ended up with the first one, but I figured I just want to use it, right? So that's where that went. So we're talking about social media today. Now, I'm just going to pray. Lord, I just thank you for this opportunity, Lord. I pray that your Spirit will rest on this, Lord. Lord, I pray that your Spirit speaks through me, and God, that your word came from the Father. And if anything that I say is what you would have me to say, Lord, I pray that it will fall, Lord, there from this one. I pray that the crowd will be ready to receive anything that is from you, Father. And I just pray and thank you, Father, for you are hearing us now. Jesus' name. So I mentioned that I have a background in computer engineering. So I kind of have like this insight into the back end and the different parts of like social media platforms and just software applications in general. As attractive as Instagram or Snapchat is, and the way that it looks. Behind that, there's just lines of code that if you just look at it on a glance, it just like totally confuse you. Oftentimes, it totally confuses me. As well. But I really want to make a point to say at the start that I believe that social media is a tool. I believe that tools are inherently neutral. But the way that we use that tool the way that we use that tool determines how we should interact. It determines, is this a good thing or is this a bad thing? And I see a lot of things like this. I see, like, for example, most video games, honestly, I see like this, that inherently, like, in and of itself, it's neutral. I see the same thing about, like, artificial intelligence. There's a whole craze going on about it right now. Inherently, I think it's a tool. It's neutral. But just like an axe, how you use a tool determines how good or bad it is. So you could use an axe for good, chop wood, you get firewood, start a nice fire, or you could use it for bad. But how you use it determines its function. But just because the tool is neutral does not mean the impact is neutral. So, and that's something I really want to stress. So that does not mean just because it's a tool, that does not mean that the content, that the effects, or the outcomes they can have an impact on you. It's not just neutral. They can have good impact, they can have bad impact, but it's not neutral. It has an impact on you. So in preparation, I asked myself, why is it that I use this? Why is it that we use social media? And so the very easy answer to that is entertainment. Like that's how we entertain ourselves. And I think that's it's such a vague answer just to say, okay, entertain, like just entertain us. Like what does that mean when when entertain comes to our minds? And so I have a little bit on the next slide. But so I find that when we use social media, we're searching for something to fire off those dopamine sensors in our brains to make us happy or make us feel something. And we know this because if it doesn't, you have no hesitation to scroll on by, to tap to the next story, to not like it or not comment on it or not share it. We leave no engagement. So we're searching for something to fulfill a desire to be happy, to be sad, to be entertained or emotional. We're looking for something to make us feel something. I'm going to simplify it just a little bit. So we're searching for something to make us feel alive or human. And it doesn't mean consciously that we're doing it. It's a subconscious thing that we're doing to entertain ourselves, to make us feel joy or whatever. We're searching for something to make us feel something. I simplified it even further on the next one. We're searching for something greater. We're searching for something greater. So, can I express something for you? If you're searching for something greater, you have to find something outside of yourself. When you're searching for something greater than yourself, you'll never find it within the confines of yourself. You can't fulfill that inside. Turn with me to Matthew chapter 4, verses 8 through 10. Again, the devil took him up on a very high mountain and showed him all the kingdoms of the world and their grandeur, and said to him, all these things I will give to you if you fall down and worship me. Then Jesus said to him, get away from me, Satan, for it is written, you shall worship the Lord your God, him only shall you serve. I see so much similarity to where Jesus is at this point where we are today. When Satan is up on the mountain with him, it shows him all of the kingdoms and the grandeur, all in a moment. And I think we have access to now in the internet and social media. We have such an access. And Satan in this moment promises Jesus to say, if you just worship me, that I'll give you all of this. Now, it's a little bit different with us today in social media because it's not a promise. The kingdoms and their grandeur is not a promise to us. It's just an enticement. It's something to entice us. And it's a lust. So I find, and the enemy is going to entice us. There's two things that I want to touch on that he's enticing us. So the first one is this, is you have not because you haven't done. Now, what does that mean? So, you have not experienced blank because you haven't done blank. You might see this a lot, where it's like, oh man, you haven't experienced life until you've tried sushi. You haven't experienced something until you've been in a relationship. You haven't experienced, you haven't lived, you haven't had value until you've traveled around the world, or all of these things that you can see on like social media, on just on this platform, where people are just showing you all of like the grandeur of their lives and saying, if you haven't done this, then you're not valued, or you can't feel happiness or joy because you haven't done or you haven't tried. And so that's the first lie. The second lie is you are not because you don't have. And I think this is one that especially impacts our generation. To say that it's like you are not valuable because you don't have a girlfriend, a boyfriend. You are not valuable. You don't have self-worth because you don't have money, because your family's not wealthy, or your family situation, or you don't have mansions, and you don't have, a massive business, and passive income, and all of these things that you see nowadays. And it's trying to say that you are not something because you don't have whatever. And then the last one that I see is that you cannot because you are. And so it's more. This is more of along the lines of, it's like, you cannot do X because you're not talented, you're not strong. And this is kind of like a tricky one, because a lot of people would use something like this to say, it's like, well, this is just like a self-help, self-improvement. Oh, I can overcome things. But this more comes along the lines of like comparison. When you start to see online, like, oh, that person is such a great artist. Like, I can never be an artist because this person is that talented. Or I can never be a preacher because this person just preaches so much better than me. So what's the point of being so? And so, like, we have like almost like not necessarily like a natural competitiveness to us, but we start lying to ourselves about things because of the good things that we see in others. And so that's when we start to compare ourselves, try to measure up to lies. But can I tell you that you're not lacking because you don't have something, because you haven't experienced or you haven't traveled, because you haven't watched or you haven't consumed something, or what you can do. And you know what I know why? Because if you're a believer, you shall have the solution. The solution isn't in a lifestyle, it's not in identity, and it's not in a career. It's not in wealth, it's not in fame, it's not in fortune. The cure isn't in a drug, it's not in a vape, it's not in a bottle, and it's not in a can. Fulfillment isn't a picture, it's not self-worth, it's not in a person. You may find place on a platform, your self-worth on a social. No, that's true. Romans 8:38-39 says this: For I'm persuaded that neither death nor life, neither angels nor principalities nor powers, neither things present nor things to come, neither height nor depth nor any other created thing shall be able to separate us from the love of God and His Christ Jesus. It's a love, a relationship so deep, so good, that nothing in this world can, could, or will ever compare to it. Don't buy into the lies of influence. When you scroll through social media, you're searching for influencers and opinions and things subconsciously baked into the posts that you're looking at and engaging in. And over time, they will birth lies and false beliefs about yourself and others the more you consider it. So, I'm going to tell you about some of the stuff that I came across when I was looking into this. If you go in, the boys know from when I spoke at Babe's Bros 6 months, something like that. I like to always have like practical evidence and research built in. Maybe that's why type 5, as Heather would say, is kind of built into me. But I went through it, and just the more I looked, the more like, the more that just came up. I'm just going to scratch the surface here. Right, so from the first source that I'm going to be looking at from the University of Toronto. So for that first one, you'll see a couple of points going to pop up onto the screen. It says that, you can read the thing, but I have it highlighted here. Research has shown that young adults who use social media are 3 times more as likely to suffer from depression. So I wonder, why are we experiencing a depression anxiety epidemics all in our world today? Even more than that, go next one up there. So the number of suicides in females aged 15 to 24 has increased 87% in the last 20 years. And in males, it's increased 30%. So, and with all of that, we know that content can be filtered, edited, and I can't there yet, so don't change yet. But so, which can lead to unattainable standards being broadcast to the entire world to see. Users are obsessed with instant gratification, and in some instances base their self-worth off of the images they see and the number of likes they go to. And I know sometimes, like, we all feel that way if we share a post and it doesn't get as many likes as the other one. We're like, what happened? Do people not like what's happening in my life? And that's something, and that's such like a tempting road to go down, especially like if you're more of a user of social media. And so I'm going to show you some of these examples. I do a lot of photography and stuff, videography for work, and some of these stuff that you see that we post, I touched, my hands are on that. And so I want to show you some of the things, because I feel like seeing it will really help it bring to life some of the things that you're seeing. So this first one is just kind of obviously it's a picture of the date. So this is before. I got these from a site that does this professionally as well. It does a lot of what I do. And so if you want to show the after photo, you'll see there's a noticeable change in the color of the skin, a noticeable change in the style of the photo, and how much better you like to walk into a home. That after photo is something you see because it's inviting and it's warm, and this really isn't. I mean, if you can really see it, it's like there's blues and reds, and it's like it doesn't like something in our minds just like as much as that's normal. That's the actual picture. That's what the baby looks like. They'll go and drift towards the other one. So this is a picture of just a normal person. I don't know if you can really see it, but it's normal. She's got some facial with bumps and blemishes and stuff like that. And they put up the second one, and you can see the difference. Yeah, total difference, total change. Makeup, everything, all the blemishes, all the stuff we're gone. All of this can be done digitally. I have done a lot of this, and for like the pictures that I do, and I can see we have the tools to do stuff like this. And so when you're scrolling through social media, you might not be thinking it, but the pictures that you're seeing and the stuff and the videos that you're watching, what you're seeing is the after. You're not seeing the before. And so when you're comparing yourself to people that just like look perfect with flawless skin, the best makeup, everything like that, or they're lifting the most weight, things are not always as they seem. Everything has been touched and curated to they want to show you what they want you to see. Entering a space where people are curating what they want to show you, that you can show them actually. And so this kind of goes along the same lines, and I know we're not all old, but to drive the point home. Sorry. But so this is an example of what a lot of people would do though when they take professional photos. Maybe when they're older, as you can see, this lady has just normal, just wrinkles that come with age. So whatever. But in the other picture, you can see they're gone, smooth skin, looks like it. And when somebody says, "Make me look 10 years younger," this is what they do. But something I want you to see is that you can't tell so much that the photo has been edited. Can I tell you that they can do this to your bodies? They can trim fat in areas that you don't want. They can they can do anything that they want to. You could never tell the difference with the naked eye if you didn't see the silver photo. And so when you're scrolling through, this is what you're seeing. You're seeing the after, all of the best pictures, and you're saying, "Oh, that person looks so good." It's unattainable because it's all been altered. what you're looking at is not reality. And so when you're comparing yourselves and you're trying to line up with something and you're like, I have to be like this person, I have to be like that person, I need to look like this, I need to look like that, that's the standard, and I feel like I can't get there. You're looking at a false reality. You're not looking at what is true, because it's been altered for everybody. My next, we can go to the next one, is from the American Psychological Association. If you've ever found that may sound interesting, the room 8 noise emissions. All right, that's what this is. So this is one that I particularly took interest in. And you can read this, and this is a whole long study. I put the link there so that you can all resume. So this is basically saying that, talking about potential risks of social media. Notes this, that during the windows around 11 to 13 for girls and 14 to 15 for boys, more social media use predicts a decrease in life satisfaction through, while lower use predicts a greater life satisfaction. And I'll show you the data. I'm not just going to quote Nick. You can go to the next one. So this is just for a slice of the pie of this. And this is how they did 50-something thousand individuals, and they followed them over the course of a couple of years. Now you can see, and it's kind of hard to see on these screens, but the different colors relate to the different areas that they did this study. And so you can see in those areas, the different areas of life. But one thing, and on the bottom of social media use, that doesn't mean hours per day, it's just the survey, 1 is at least 5. But if you can see, the more social media use you have, it across all of the age brackets, really. And you can see the different areas, but one that really breaks my heart the most, if you see, there's kind of like a little peach-colored line at the bottom of the female one here. And if you look over to what it is, it's the appearance one. You can see how early on that line is more flat, meaning it's dependent. No matter what the social media use, how much you do, it's not as potent. But once you hit 12 and 13, you can see how drastically that decreases. But not just that, but also you can see that dark red line is just the satisfaction with life, just general satisfaction. And you can just see as the time goes on, as ages cross all the age brackets, you can see that just decline. The more that you're on it, the more, and it's not just the girls. You can see it with the guys too, all the way across. It's not as potent in some areas, but it doesn't mean it's not still there. And so this is what they're quoting. This is what they're citing when they're saying that. Nick can go to that next one. And this is a generalization of that. So on the left-hand side, you would see what they would consider their baseline, quote unquote. So, and the distance from 0 is zero is their prediction. 0 is, this is what their numbers are. And so when you deviate from that, that's what the graph shows it. And so you can see on the left-hand side, it sticks a lot closer to the kind of predicted value. General drops in those ranges that they said 11 to 13. Where you look at the social media use side of it, you can just see a vastly different picture about how much it really drops within your years and years. And there's also a drop at 19, where there's other reasons for that. Graduating high school, and people's lives are perfect, but that's really the point. That doesn't mean that more social media use is showing, and there's research going out about it, that it's showing that there is a negative effect on people's mental health and how they see themselves and their identities. And there's so many questions, and you can see just how drastically it drops. And so it's not even just researchers that are saying this and showing this. From the next one, there was in 2020, Facebook, the Wall Street Journal did a research into Facebook's internal files. So the things that they know they're in their internal meetings, and they published a whole, a whole bunch of different articles about it. And so this particular one was reported in NBC, Business Insider, Wall Street Journal, some of these big name media corporations. And so this one's 32% of 10-year-olds said that when they felt bad about their bodies, Instagram made them feel worse. And the same things felt 13% of these. If you go to the next one, it's not even just that. But when they looked at, in Facebook, they own Instagram, their own files. They saw that among teens who reported suicidal thoughts, 13% of British users and 6% of Americans directly reported their thoughts to Instagram as the cause. And I know, you could say, Jonah, 13%, 6%, those are small numbers. That number should be 0. Like, why are suicides 87% for innocent? Why do we have people tying their thoughts and the things that make them feel bad about themselves directly to a platform? And you know what? They know this. Nikki, thanks, one. They know that their product is addictive, and they're not doing anything. They're not going to do anything about it. They refuse to because your guys make money. I could sit here and explain how CPM and advertising works on social media platforms and just how your usage of it makes them money regardless. But they know, but that's how it makes them money. The longer their money, the work makes them. And so they don't care if your mental health is going down the drain or anything like that, or like these other statistics. They do not care. They're not going to help you in it. The company is fully aware of it. And finally, this last one comes out of the treatment clinic. Yeah, so this will, let me, I have to explain that. Over the course of COVID, there was a trend that came on. I don't know if a lot of you know it. Does anybody remember the Tourette syndrome on TikTok and stuff like that? Well, this is like really shocking when I tell you. For me, when I heard and I saw it, when that trend was a thing, people started to see teenagers report to their general practitioners, their doctors, with Tourette-like syndrome, like Tourette-like movements and speech patterns and things of that nature. And so you can see in here, and this is, I mean, a lot of medical terminology too, but like symptoms that were like they're being overwhelmingly represented in this. And so what they figured out was it wasn't like Tourette's, it was like a neurological thing that was like, and it could be cured through, thankfully, through behavioral therapists. It wasn't like people were just like instantly developing Tourette's, but it was changing the behaviors of people and the way that they normally act and the way that they respond to stress to a point where it was so noted that researchers picked up on this and people were looking at it, looking at the causes of this and all of it. And I can guarantee you, like all the people that I referenced in the EPA and the people that I referenced from the University of Utah and those in all of those places, I can guarantee you they're no different from me. They're just like every single one of us. They're normal people. And so then these things, like and I can guarantee you not all of those people consciously went into social media being like, I'm going to be the next trend, or I'm going to start developing these tics. I'm going to do this, or I'm going to do that. I'm going to come out with negative self-worth. I'm going to come out with this, that, and the other. I probably didn't even think going into it. And yet after a year, or even just slowly over time, just the more and the more and the more that they used, that it impacted them. And whether you believe it or not, extensive usage of social media is not something that does not have an effect on you. It's not something that doesn't have an effect on me or any of us. You see, algorithms, they do set you up for failure. It will show you pseudo-sexual or sexual content. It will show you unreasonable beauty standards. It'll present opportunities to you to feel bad about yourself, about your living situation, about every single thing in your life, to make you question who you are and all of those things. And it's not like, because the longer that you're on it, just the higher and the greater the risk that it's going to show you something that you're not supposed to see, or you really shouldn't see, or shouldn't be exposed to, or don't want to. Even if you try your best to avoid it, if you sit there 7, 8 hours a day, even 5 or 6, heck, even 3, I'll so well. Going back to Matthew 4, we're on this modern day mountain. Satan is right there. And he's showing us all of the enticing things of the world. Relationally, sexually, in appearance, or travel. He's saying that the relationship or the premarital sex, that it's going to fulfill you or make you happy. That those pictures and those things are going to fulfill you. He's telling you that if you send those pictures, they're going to make you feel valuable. Yes, that the likes and the following, that they're going to give you a purpose. But can I tell you, that's not true. It won't fulfill you, and it can never fulfill you. The kingdoms and their glory can never compare. Romans 8:18. It says this, for I consider that the sufferings of this present time are not worthy to be compared with the glory that shall be revealed to us. And can I tell you, if the sufferings aren't even comparable, how much more are the glories not even comparable? So let me ask, do you want your purpose, your fulfillment, satisfaction, reason. Do you need value? Jesus gives us the key in this moment. He says this in chapter 4. He says, worship the Lord your God, and him alone shall you serve. He said, this is the something better. It's the only well that you can leave, that one need researching, that it went leaving thirsty. You see, by using platforms for hours and hours a day, we're lying to our sons over and over and internalizing falsities and the lies of a flawed platform, of flawed people, manipulated to look like their highlight reel. And all in the only post the most curated highlights of radio humorous lowlights. They're not showing the reality of their situation. It's all so and just not past it. To you. How can we expect a man who feel we will feed or nothing but lies and perceptions? I mentioned 3 lies earlier. Like the devil has no new tricks. They tell you. And so read at 1 John 2. Definitely. For all that is in this world, the lust of the flesh, the lust of the eyes, the pride of life, is not of the Father, but it is of the world. The world and its desires are passing away, but the one who does the will of God lives forever. I'm asking, do you see it? Go back. If we go to the next slide, we can see that you have not because you haven't done. That's the lust of the flesh. You haven't experienced, you haven't done this. It's your flesh's lust, and you're seeing it on the social media and between your friends. You are not because you don't have this lust, the eyes, the wealth, the homes, the cars, whatever. All of that. It's lust. It's enticing. It's desiring. It's not going to fulfill you. Defining it cannot because you are not. That's the pride of life. The pride of being the best or wanting to be on top, being that person, being the most talented, the way that you get yourself down after seeing, people that are better than you at certain positions, wanting to get on top, and wanting to quit because you feel like you'll never reach them. It's not true. They're all lies. All lies. Satan to us. So I'm not telling you to go on there. I do it like getting like two with social media is routine. The platform is itself. But we need to question how it moves and the things that we're allowing ourselves to be exposed to. So if you've been going through some of these things that I've been telling, and you have a similar story to a lot of these people and the things in this research, and you're like, Jonah, that's my story. It's somewhat, honestly, some of it's me too. And back in my teenage years, I can say I definitely related to all of this. Just ask yourself these questions. Is it worth my truth? Is it worth my body? Is it worth my value? Is it worth my self-image? Is it worth my heart? Is it worth my soul? And is it worth others? Is it worth us keeping all of our lives there? Like we look at our phones and it's saying, yeah, you have 6-7 hours of Instagram or YouTube today. Is it worth that? Is it worth who you are in Christ? And if the answer is no, then I'm telling you, I'm asking you to set boundaries and limits in your own life. If you need to, fast it. Get rid of it for a time being. Or if that's not working and you need to take an extreme, then get rid of it. Because things, let me tell you, things aren't going to be better if you stay in those places. You see, the greater the limit, the greater the capacity. And I promise to take time when you make an intention after you reach these situations. But you replace that with the Word of God and seek it after Word. There, you will start to see those things that were burdening you and keeping you down, those image issues in your mind, those just all of that. If you're struggling with that, if you put it down, right? Intentionally to say, hey, I'm tired of this. I'm done with this. I don't want to feed my eyes anymore. You will start to see change. Give God the space that you're creating. watch as he shows up in those areas that you're most searching for, that you need him to show up most. We're going to break up in small breaks in a second. Just work through this. But I'm just going to pray us out this week. Lord, I just thank you for this one we've had together, Father. I thank you for this opportunity, God, to present your name. Lord, I pray if anything that I had to say, God, is outside of what you were me to say, Lord, I pray that it's only with this for me. Lord, I pray that if there is sick, Lord, I pray that the soul will be there for his word. God, that he was ready to receive. Lord, I just thank you for this opportunity. I just praise you. It's in your name.
Man, solid word. I'm excited to dive into this in the small groups. So I'm just up here to separate us out. If you are a high school guy, come up to the front right here. 6th and 7th grade boys, follow. What's that in the front? Is that Andrew? Follow Andrew to the corner. 8th and 9th grade boys, you're in that corner back there. Follow Jax.
Hey, girly girls, 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, you guys are with Krista. 9 and 10, you guys are with Dina. And then 11, 12, you're with